Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is caitom and today we are finally back with a full residential build. This house is a technically base game only build. It just has a few items from the free holiday celebration pack, so if you don't have those little items in your game, feel free to download them before you get this house. But quick little interjection before we continue. I was planning on doing a Q&A for my next video alongside footage of me making my sim self, so it'll basically just be me introducing my sim self, and answering any of the questions you all have for me. I'll probably wait a couple days before compiling all of the questions, so until then, do not be shy. Now back to the build. But right now, we are currently on a 30 by 30 lot in Newcrest, and the sides may seem a little bit bare here, but that is just because the house is slightly larger than a 30 by 20. But a little bit more about this house. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a full bath on both floors, and it's decorated to sleep up to 2 Sims, 1 teen or child, and 2 babies. The little prompt I thought of for this seemingly sweet little family is that the parents married and started their family very young. Perhaps they ran into some unforeseen circumstances that unfortunately drove them into a life of thievery and espionage, which meant that their young little child had to endure many lonely nights as their parents were making ends meet. Now, many years have passed and the child has grown up into a well-rounded teen despite their sort of abnormal childhood, and with this newfound stability from their parents' efforts finally paying off, they have a new set of twins. I guess this house is, this house would be the one that they recently moved into, so lots of new and surprising changes for the family, and depending on who you're playing as, they could either be positive or negative. So, as you can see, I am building this house in a Tudor style, which I achieved with that wallpaper with, I want to say, wood accents that have a similar style to actual Tudor wallpaper from Get Together, but I don't actually have that pack, and I just wanted to achieve the same look, so I just decided to make it base game compatible. And I actually got the inspiration from one of the pre-built homes in Copperdale. That is the world that came with the high school years expansion pack. And since most of the base game houses that I personally build, they end up being a typical suburban style with wood paneling, I thought I could do something a little bit different. And I suppose that decision to make things a little bit different sort of bled into the landscaping. I ended up using a lot more flowers than I usually do, and I just did that to kind of give the outside a bit more color, because right now, as you can see, lots of brown. Lots of it. And the sort of white that you're seeing from the second floor, it is also tinted brown. So color from the flowers and from the brick, that is all we will be getting in the exterior. I will say though that the interior has a bit of an older style, and I'm talking all of the older style furniture items. I gave some thought to having the interior be a bit more modern and not so traditional looking, but I thought that these older style couches would look a little bit more interesting compared to the very boxy modern ones. And I'm afraid if I opted for a more modern style interior, that might have just turned out to be like any one of my other base game build interiors, and it would just be brown. I wanted to avoid that as much as I could, so we went with a more traditional interior, but the color scheme, you'll see, it's still brown, but there's some hints of green in there. But as we continue to work on the exterior, let me give you all a rundown about what this house has to offer, as if I'm giving you all a sales pitch and you're gonna have to decide whether or not you want to buy this house. The entire first floor is living space, with these stairs pretty much acting as a border between the kitchen / dining and the family room plus sunroom. And do not be mistaken by the evening lighting. The sunroom gets plenty of sun during the day, and I think that the parents have since distanced themselves from their former jobs and gravitated to something a bit more calm and soothing and, you know, closer to home. Taking care of 2 babies is proving to be much harder than 1. Anyways, as an extension of the living space, this lot also comes with a very generous backyard. That also ends up being the quote-unquote last room for this build. I just didn't know what to do with it. That wasn't simply just sticking a pool to fill up the space, but I definitely knew that I wanted to add some water features like a fountain or something, but you will all see that in due time. And in case you were wondering, the little prompt that showed up on screen as I was resizing some of those plants is actually a part of the tool mod by Twisted Mexi. It is a powerful tool that can help give you more specific increases and decreases in size while also helping you move objects in ways that the game itself cannot provide as is. Unfortunately, this mod only works if you're on PC/Mac, so if you want to download it for yourself, Twisted Mexi's website will be linked in the description box. But as we start to move on to the interior, I just want to point out that the floor plan, I won't lie, came together a little quickly. Although to be fair, this is a bit on the smaller size when it comes to houses or builds. But yeah, as I mentioned previously, the whole downstairs is just living space. There are no bedrooms, but there is a single full bathroom. All of the bedrooms are on the second floor, along with that second bathroom. So in this kitchen, you'll probably see me placing down those sort of modern appliances, and compared to the style of the base game counters that I use, you might be thinking to yourself, well, okay, Tom, that doesn't really fit. And yeah, after looking at the kitchen for a bit, I do decide to switch those out for the older style base game appliances. They're just like metal, I think. And they're specifically the ones that function off the grid. So yeah, they are actually a bit pricier than the appliances that I had there before. But you know, like I said, this family, they are finally comfortable and they have a little bit of money to kind of splurge on some things, and that means having a kitchen that feels a bit more cohesive. Under the window over there, I do place a fish bowl. That's actually an item that I often place in my builds just because I think it does well to kind of fill up the space of wherever I place it while also providing some sort of gameplay function. Actually, I think that's wrong. In the base game, the fishes, I think you just name them and then they're just there as like decoration, kind of like the frogs, I think. So pardon me for saying they add gameplay. They add personality for storytelling purposes, but other than that, you know, they're just decoration. And speaking of decoration, for this particular kitchen, I do add some clutter on top of the fridge. I've seen some other Sims builders have that kind of detail of adding clutter on top of the fridges, but I usually don't do that, but I thought, you know, why not? There's already shelving above the sink, so it would do them well to have a little bit more space on top of the fridge. And one particular item I want to point out is that little animal looking thing. It comes from the holiday celebration pack, and I don't know the particular name of that item, but I also know that it also shows up in, I want to say, seasons as a debug item. I'm very unsure of this information, but I know there are different variants in other packs. I'm just not sure which. I don't usually see those in builds, but I also don't actually put them in my own build. But yeah, just a quick little tidbit. So right here in the dining, you can probably notice that the chairs are that green and yellow swatch. That is a swatch I know for sure that I have not used it ever in any of my builds. I remember when I first started going through the swatches of the base game items, I stumbled across that one and I thought to myself, why? Why is this a color option? And who would use it? Fast forward to me here, now, building that home, I would use it. I think that was kind of like the main turning point of me deciding to give the rest of this house a sort of green color scheme. From the curtains in the kitchen and the curtains that I use and the rest of this living space, they all end up being green. And one more thing about the chairs is at the, I want to say ends of the table, I do add a different chair. Also in that green swatch, it just has a wood base where you sit down. I thought it kind of made sense. I for sure have seen some dining tables where they have this kind of like the head of the table and the other end of the table have special chairs just because they are the head of the table. For this particular family, I don't think they would really care about that sort of head of the table kind of stuff, but I guess I just thought it was cute, a little quirky. Honestly, I think the parents here, they are the type of parents that want to be cool. They are a little bit more chill compared to other parents their age because, you know, they have a teen that is, you know, all grown up now. But yeah, I see that I've sort of dragged the talk about the dining room into the living room, but a little bit about this. I do end up bulldozing the wall that was kind of splitting this space into two, just because I thought that the little room that I thought would be the living room, it seemed a bit small, and the family, I guess, would want something a little bit larger. But yeah, this room, or this area of the house, consists of the living room, a little office area, and a wall of books. That red shelf that you see me use to kind of help clutter up the bookshelves is actually a CC item by Amibe? I seem to forget the name. I have it down below linked to where you can find it, and of course it only works on PC/Mac, so if you're on console, I think you can opt for the Dream Home Decorator shelves to kind of have that same function. Of course, if you have the tool mod, it kind of does the same thing, but it's kind of sometimes easier to use than the tool mod. But yeah, those are just two little mods that I use just to help me with my builds. But yeah, moving on. There's also a fireplace that I do include with a kind of vintage camera on top of it, and the TV is actually sitting on a smaller little table right next to the fireplace. That is a quick little detail that I think I got from the cottage living builds. But yeah, I do place actually an older style TV on the side. Yeah, what I said about this family having some money to splurge, I did not mean it on the TV. But before I completely skip the sunroom and move on to the second floor, I imagine this family to be into gardening, a homey little hobby that they can do inside and outside. They probably take their plants in whenever it's raining super hard, at least their potted plants, and they leave them in the sunroom just so they can spend some quality time with the other plants or something. But yeah, the parents' room. So unfortunately, I do make the parents' room a bit bare compared to the teen and the nursery, but I do go back in later and add, I believe they are the reward items from like leveling up in the, I want to say, criminal career, just as like remnants of their previous jobs. But anyways, here is the bathroom that I actually decided to keep footage of in this speed build. So it is a 3x3 full bathroom. It has a shower tub combo with, I want to say it's the older style shower tub combo item. And it has a toilet, sink, all that. I actually even include a laundry basket with a couple towels folded on top of it. That's just something I like to do, just so it seems like there's more clutter to it and it's not just the bare necessities. There are also those really nice windows that let in all of the good sunlight, especially when it's during noon, and that just basically means you can take a nice relaxing bath. But here we have finally moved on to the nursery room. So I do initially start off with a single bassinet just because I hadn't decided that I wanted to have twin babies or two babies. I added a second one just because I thought it would help with the layout. The room is very long and not very much wide, so the layout with a single bassinet would be a little bare. So just to kind of fill up space, I do have the two bassinets. And I also end up placing a lot of light sources in this room. So I actually changed the ceiling light to a cloud while adding a table lamp, a floor lamp, and a night light. So just say that these kids will not be afraid of the dark at all because they're gonna have all the light sources they need. And a little bit more about this particular room. I do end up adding some toddler items just because personally I would immediately age up the babies. And I don't know what other baby decorations I could add to a nursery room. I don't often build nurseries or very much toddler rooms. Whenever I do end up going for these little children rooms, I go for pretty much the same things, just those typical cloud wall decals, maybe add a little tree here and there. But other than that, there really weren't many options as to what I can add. But one thing about this room is that the door and the window, they kept doing that little buggy thing where they blended into the walls, and oh my gosh, I think there's a point where I just kept trying to recolor a particular item and it kept blurring out the window and I got so annoyed. EA, please, why does this issue even happen? And why does it happen multiple times when I'm trying to build? But anyways, we're just finishing up some final touches on this nursery before moving on to the teens room. So the teen that I had in mind, I didn't really flesh out their story. I know the parents are like happy-go-lucky, very casual, very chill, sort of blind to the teen's issues. Or maybe the teen feels like I shouldn't throw a pity party while my parents are having all this fun, all this happiness with their new children. And maybe they also feel like, oh, I shouldn't get jealous as the eldest child when my parents have given me new siblings or something. But yeah, that's just what I had in mind. But also, maybe their coping mechanism is through music. I do believe I add a violin and some more plants just because, you know, I just think gardening is a family activity for them. As I finish up this last room, I just want to mention that I do end up decorating the hallway. I add another bookshelf and a few plants here and there. It's not really large or very interesting, so I decided to cut that footage out. We are finally in the backyard. My initial idea for this was to actually create a small pond with the terrain tools and add a little bridge / walkway. Just because I thought the mounted fish decor in the living room would kind of indicate that maybe one of the parents here likes to enjoy nature in a different way. But with that, we are done with today's build. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, if you want to download this home, it is up on my gallery under my ID, caitom. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and see you on the next one. Bye!